Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Super Deluxe Gamescast. It is Thursday. I almost said March the 5th. It's Thursday, May the 5th, and it's been a slow news week. So we got one big news. Yeah, I'm really happy about it, to be perfectly honest with you. So that means we can talk about whatever the fuck we want. So, Derek, what are you doing there?
I feel slightly out of focus, but I have to reach anyway.
You were looking, you're looking a little blurry. I was like, Derek, did you watch the Ring video recently?
No.
And is that why you're coming in blurry?
I have my aperture probably set too wide on my lens, but it's okay.
I see. Well, So tonight, here's what we're going to do. As always, we're going to talk about what we've been playing. Derek has a special little interesting twist.
Yeah, I haven't been playing any video games, so I've got a passion topic I need to rant about.
Derek's a fake gamer.
Don't give him anything.
and then we're going to talk about Square Enix and their selling of what was it? Ubisoft,
not Ubisoft.
Jesus
Ubisoft.
Christ! I'm
Eidos,
Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal.
Montreal, right? Okay, I was thinking Ubisoft Montreal for some reason. And then we're going to talk about our favorite comfort games. But first, I want to introduce our very cool guest. This is her first time on SDGC. My friend Danny, who is not only a streamer but works for Sony. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. So you work for Sony, but you were a streamer yourself.
Yeah.
You do some really, really cool streaming. What do you like to stream?
For the last year and a half, it's been all Soulsborne. So I was doing it was all JRPGs for the most part, but then one of my friends donated to a charity stream that I was doing to have me play Bloodborne and wanted me to play for one stream, and I played for 130 hours.
Oh, fantastic! That's the way right there.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to do for the last couple of years.
And I've been a fan of your content for a while, and we needed an extra talking head tonight, and I figured why not ask and see if you wanted to come on. And it was short notice, so I appreciate you joining us tonight. So what are you drinking, by the way?
Corona.
All right.
Oh, it's a good choice.
It is Cinco de Mayo. Okay. Derek, what are you drinking?
I got IBC cream soda.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Justin is pounding that water over there.
But I do have it in my Baja Blast. Cup.
So
I did
water.
refill it.
Do you, Justin? Justin, are you getting that hint of Baja Blast in your water? Is there some? Just a slight bouquet, like an essence.
I think that's been thoroughly rinsed out by now, but I don't know.
I still have not ever had Baja Blast.
It's good.
What even is the flavor of Baja Blast?
It's tropical.
What's it supposed to be?
Yeah,
it's vacation flavored.
It's passion fruit and star fruit all mixed into one. I have no idea.
I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's just chemicals.
It's Mountain Dew. So,
what is the flavor of regular Mountain Dew?
The flavor of regular Mountain Dew it's gamer flavored.
Actually, I believe it's primarily orange. Weirdly.
Wait, what?
What?
Yes, Mountain Dew is, I believe, primarily orange flavored.
Oh fucking shit! Why is it green?
It's not exclusively orange.
I'm sorry. Well, it's more like piss yellow, but that's still not fucking orange.
Doesn't
orange?
matter.
Who the fuck is getting orange flavor from Mountain
Red
Dew?
Is almond flavored. Why is it red? It doesn't matter.
I think there's legitimately orange in Mountain Dew. Not even a joke.
What? No, come on. That's bullshit.
I'm glad to have already derailed this podcast before I intended to derail the podcast.
That is fucking all right. So speaking of derailment, let's go through what we've been playing this week. We're going to end on Derek because I already know what he's going to talk about. And I've got a rebuttal to him.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Oh, yes, I do. So I'll go ahead and kick us off real quick. I had this week, and it's interesting that we're talking about comfort games this week because I have been playing a comfort game myself. I've been replaying Front Mission 3 on my PS Vita. I fucking love Front Mission. I love Square games. I love old Squaresoft games, and I love old PlayStation games. So when you roll those together, you guys know by now, if people listening don't know my tastes, then I don't know what to tell you. But I've been replaying Front Mission 3, not my first replay. I've replayed it multiple times over the years. I'm doing the Alyssa route. And there's two different routes in this game, and it's really like playing two. Like you decide early on, it's a certain choice you have to make, and it puts you on two completely different branching paths, and it's essentially two different games, and it's just fucking great. The replay value is through the roof. I love. There's something about old blocky polygonal PS1 visuals that just bring a smile to my face. And Danny, have you played Front Mission 3?
No, I've watched some gameplay, but I haven't played it myself.
Oh, you owe it to yourself. It's fucking. I know Derek has. Like Derek.
It has large robots. Of course, I've played it. Good or bad.
Exactly. And I'm assuming Justin has as well.
Yeah, I mean it's been quite a while, but yeah, okay. I have played it.
What a great fucking game. Like I could, and it's a long game too. Like that is not a short game. But yeah, no, I've been playing Front Mission 3, and next week I am going to be picking up Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. I'll probably play through that, and I will finally get through 13 Sentinels on Switch.
Did you back Eiyuden Chronicles?
Yes,
the main
I did,
version?
Dude.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
You're like all in on that project.
Dude, it's a Suikoden 2 spiritual successor by the same developers. Of course I did. Like there is
played Suikoden, so but I'm happy for you.
Oh, Derek, you are fucking missing out, son.
There's so many JRPGs.
I've never played them either.
Justin, what the fuck?
At least, but I've never played them.
At least I'm assuming Danny has played it.
I've played, not much, but a little bit.
Okay, well at least you played it. Like Suikoden 2 is a. You know what? I can't start talking about Suikoden 2 because I
wasted too much time playing Xenosaga, which I deeply regret.
Oh, so. We had a conversation about this the other day, Derek. You wasted your fucking time.
I did.
All right, Danny. We'll just go left to right here. Danny, what have you been playing this week?
All Elden Ring all the time. I have a bleed and sort of dragon build that I've been working on. I restarted a while ago, and so I am just kind of blowing fire and poison and flies at people.
That is exactly how I played through Elden Ring. Was I did like a very bleed focused samurai build, went into the faith and miracles, focused on dragon spells. Yes.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
I started off like super balanced. Like I was literally spreading my points through everything and wasn't getting anywhere. So got kind of focused, and now I can kill everything.
How many hours are you in?
I'm 140 hours in or so, and
nice.
Or actually no, sorry, I'm level 140, and I'm around 90 hours in.
Okay.
Yeah. At the reverse.
How far into the story are you?
Not far. I've been like running.
No, that's the best part about this game.
Yeah. I generally hate open world games because games like Assassin's Creed and stuff, it just looks like a to-do list to me, and it just feels like work, right? And so, so with this, just like not really having any focus and being able to put marks wherever I want them, and just be like, yeah, I want to kind of explore this area. That makes it a lot more appealing for me, and so. Like generally my life is extremely structured, and just being able to pick a direction and go is bliss. So
I was saying that like week after week after week when Elden Ring came out was like, I can't stand the Assassin's Creed format. I don't want to collect 37 pages of the Constitution. I don't want to check off a bunch of boxes in a bunch of grid lined. Right. But something about Elden Ring being like, pull up a map. Do you see that? That kind of looks like a building on your map. Check that out. Like, I love that. That has worked for me so much. Oh, yeah. Elden Ring.
It makes it seem like more of a game I can play rather than just another assignment. So. Also, my cat is here, so if she makes noise, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Animals are encouraged.
Yeah. This is a pet friendly podcast for sure.
I am surprised I do not have a cattail in my face. Yeah,
right now.
It'll usually how I spend the.
It'll happen eventually.
Episode.
My son is actually he's 14 now. I don't know what the fuck happened, but. He's been playing Elden Ring. We play together a lot, and he will text me. He lives with his mom. He'll text me like, "Dad, let's play some Elden Ring." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he's actually running a bleed build, and because I gave him my Rivers of Blood because that's what you're supposed to do as a dad. And so we play together, and we'll hop on chat, and he gets all formal. He's like, "Father, now we quest together," and I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, man, that's what we're doing.
Your son is just Chris Hemsworth character in the
2016
all-female
Ghostbusters.
right?
Yeah.
But like as a
Yeah.
14-year-old, and
Yeah, no,
I love
like
that for him.
like Danny, my son is like he's an incredibly handsome
He's
kid.
so beautiful and so
Like-
dumb. He's like a golden
like-
retriever.
like he is legitimately like a friend of ours, my friend's mom across the street. He was like standing around, and she says he looks like a goddamn Ken doll.
He does.
like he does. He's like
He's a
incredibly
himbo in
handsome,
training.
and he is a super duper himbo. Like
That boy,
show sometimes. By
that
the
boy
way,
he does.
chugs.
I hope he's listening now. I
That
love
boy
that kid.
chugs
Love
his
you, son.
respect women juice, and I love that
Yes,
for him.
he does. He does. I once asked him, I was like, bud, tell me all the swear words you know. And he's like rattling off like shit balls, fuck ass. And I'm like, wow. And then he says, I also know the B word, but I won't say that because it's disrespectful to women. And I was like, holy shit, dude.
I love this child. I love him.
Yeah, Derek actually gave him some tips on hair care while he was here.
As a good queer does.
He is very, very fastidious about his appearance. Yeah, but he's just a good fucking kid. He's just a good kid. Son, if you're listening, I love you, bud. We're going to see Doctor Strange tomorrow. Can't fucking wait.
I'm so excited to see that.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Justin, what are you playing this week?
So I've got a couple, and I'm really excited to talk about both of them. First one I'm going to mention is Trek to Yomi, which just came out today.
Ooh, I've heard mixed things about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about where I am. Mixed. Which is unfortunate because I was actually really looking forward to this game. If you don't know what it is, basically, it's from Flying Wild Hog, but it's like a black and white 2D side-scrolling game. Well, mostly side-scrolling, but it's heavily inspired by Kurosawa. So it has like it's letterboxed. It's all in black and white. It has this really cool like grain filter on it. It makes incredible use of like camera angles and stuff like that. It's fully voiced in Japanese. So it's like classic samurai movie. Like it's got like ripped film and stuff effect on the screen. It's really, really cool. It looks awesome.
Visually, I think it's really appealing.
Visually, it's fantastic. The cutscenes actually do a really good job of emulating kind of like the camera style and stuff. And then all of a sudden you start playing it, and that's when things go downhill. The animation is not good when you're playing. It's great in the cutscenes for some reason, but like when you're playing it, like slashing the sword almost looks like some of the Flash games I used to play, like when I was in high school.
Well, and I heard there's like no weight behind the combat at all.
No, there's
like,
none. Like you can't tell if you're getting hit. You can't tell if you're doing anything. It's really, really unfortunate because I think what the team accomplished visually is really spectacular.
That's really unfortunate, man. This wasn't I'm sorry, Justin, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep going through it because I think visually it's awesome, and I do really like that aspect of it. But like, it just does not play very well, and it's a bummer.
That sucks, man. And this was announced pretty recently, right? Like it wasn't the gap between announcement and release, if I remember correctly, was pretty short.
I think it was announced a while ago and then just kind of vanished for a while, and then they talked about it again, and then it came out. But the other game I want to talk about is super, super cool, and I'm really glad I checked it out. It's called
Final Fantasy VI.
It's called Chernobylite.
Oh yeah.
And
I've heard of this fucking game.
It's been out on PC for a while. It was out on PC in early access for a while. The console versions came out in the fall, but they just released like the PS5 and Series X versions of it, as well as adding ray tracing to the PC version. So it kind of just got a big update. But I decided to check it out, and it's really fucking cool. So it's set in Chernobyl, as you
never would have guessed.
Might have guessed. And you play as Igor, who's this he's this Ukrainian scientist that had worked in the power plant like before the meltdown and everything. And his fiance had disappeared like shortly before the meltdown. He starts getting visions of her. So he heads back to Pripyat with a couple mercenaries that he hired to try to sneak into the power plant and try to locate her because he thinks she's there. And from there, things go bad. But after that, yeah. So after that, you have this home warehouse base where you have to build stuff to be able to craft different things, but you also have to care about like your crewmates' comfort levels. So like if you don't have a bed for somebody, that'll screw up how they think about you. You have to decide like their food rations. You have to make sure that they have stuff to entertain themselves. There's enough power so the lights aren't flickering and driving them crazy, and stuff like that. They call it a survival horror RPG, which it definitely like it's not like a traditional FPS. Combat definitely feels more like something like Resident Evil Village or something like that. So even though it looks a lot like Metro and Stalker, and stuff like that, it's really different. But there's a huge emphasis on player choice, and like there's a ton of like storyline decisions that you can make going through it, and it's building up. Like from the very beginning of the game, you have a heist board. And you like as you find items and request and get crew members on your team, you can take on the heist at the power plant, and it all culminates in basically like the Mass Effect 2 suicide mission, where like how much people like you factors in, decisions that you made throughout the story factor in. You assign them certain roles when you go in, and then also there's like split seconds, like do you have your sniper take this guy out, do you try to sneak around this other way? It's really, really neat.
All right. So you're talking about heists and stuff, right? I have a question. How important is family in this game? Is family very important? Is family more important than anything in this game?
I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you for the stream.
Do you live your life a quarter mile at a time in this game, Derek?
You don't. But
okay.
There's also some other really cool touches. Like you can customize the difficulty of like the survival elements, which is really great because I usually hate that sort of things. But like I could turn that down and it let me just play and enjoy.
Turn up the radiation.
And then another really neat thing is you need to have certain members of the crew to be able to unlock certain like abilities and like the skill tree and stuff. But instead of just like going into like a skill tree on a menu, you have to go up to them, tell them what you want to learn, and then there's like an actual segment of them teaching you how to do that. So sometimes it's a playable section, sometimes it's like a conversation. There's one that's really funny where like the huntress in your crew, I chose the one that would expand my inventory. And the entire thing is just her giving you shit. She's like, "Oh, I'm the only woman in the crew, and I'm the one that you asked to help teach you how to organize things."
This is like whenever Britt gets mad at the rest of us.
And then she like goes off on
You deserve it.
She's like,
"Yeah,
I hate that shithole that that you have us stay at. I'm not gonna help you clean it."
Wow, this is like when we stayed at the murder hotel. Derek, this game is our fucking podcast.
It's also literally what happened to me at GameStop. They kept transferring me from store to store to clean the stores. That's my actual life.
But yeah, it ended up being a really, really cool game. I actually platinumed it, which I wasn't expecting, but it ended up just basically being finished, the game, essentially. But really neat little game. If you like that kind of like gas masks and AKs kind of setting, like Stalker and Metro and stuff, give it a shot. It's pretty neat.
I used to smoke pot.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna. I used to smoke pot out of a gas mask in high school, so this game sounds like right up my alley. Danny, you were gonna.
Did you ever play Papers, Please?
Yes, I have actually.
I have
that
it,
game,
but I have not actually played it yet.
It's so good.
Oh, yeah, you have to do the same sort of thing where you're like managing your household and making sure they're comfortable and everything.
The weight of the decisions in that game, like. It's so much heavier than you would initially suspect. Like that game hit me fucking hard.
I was killed for my family going into debt because I was trying. Oh no, my camera died.
I mean, it happens, like that's life, like, your family goes into debt and you get killed.
Right. That happens now. So
right. It happens now. So
more slowly.
It's literally like you have to pay for medicine, for heat and food, and then like your family dies or so I went into debt and my family all died.
Fucking capitalism. That's the problem.
Yeah. Capitalism in fake Russia.
So Derek.
Yeah. So
Derek,
I haven't. Here's the thing. I haven't played like anything in the last week. A big part of that is it's Derby week. Many of you know I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I work in local television and news. So the week of and leading into the Kentucky Derby is kind of a very, very busy and weird one.
Fake gamer.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I've played a little bit, but it's been stuff that I talked about last week, right? Nothing new. I've also been trying to keep my slate open for an incoming review code, so that I could just jump right into that, which we cannot talk about yet.
I know.
So tonight, instead, I want to talk to you all about a joking topic that got brought up last week, but I believe I need to seriously talk about, which is the Blood Countess Elizabeth Bathory was framed by the Holy Roman Empire and is innocent of all crimes accused to her.
So, I don't know, man. So in order to... So I did some research on this.
No, stop. So first off, stop. I need to start, okay? Because you know shit and I know everything, okay? Let's get that straight. Let's get that gay.
You ever heard of Dunning-Kruger?
Right. So here's the thing, okay? And you're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to think I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I promise you that Occam's razor really does go to my side on this, okay? So Elizabeth Bathory had a tremendous amount of wealth and land and political power for a single woman in the era of the Holy Roman Empire in Hungary, in Transylvania specifically, which is a subset of Hungary. All of Transylvania is basically within what was Hungary, but not all of Hungary is Transylvania. Anyway, it is because her parents basically were two incredibly politically powerful people. So she was born into tremendous wealth and power, and then she married into even more wealth and power, and then her husband died out like fighting war, some shit. So she ended up being a single woman with no children with a tremendous amount of land and wealth. And due to the way that her landownings were set up, her land was basically strategically necessary for the Holy Roman Empire to actually fully control Hungary. And her nephew was growing up to eventually potentially become the single greatest threat to King, I don't remember names very well, of the Holy Roman Empire at the time. So in other words, he would have been able to, for example, easily move armies through the land that she occupied safely and blockade them from controlling Hungary. Okay? So we have a woman, a single woman with tremendous wealth and landownings that stood in the way of a large imperial power, right? And like, look, we live in America. We had like a witch hunt thing, so we should kind of be familiar with the idea that sometimes we just are terrified of women in general. So tell me which is easier, John, that a woman who through circumstances had a tremendous amount of land that was necessary for the Holy Roman Empire's control over Hungary, killed 600 women and bathed in the blood of virgins and all of this other stuff, or that she was framed, because I will also bring to you that all of the first like anecdotal evidence, all of the people who came forward and said, oh, well, I heard, and it's all hearsay, by the way. Nobody was like, yes, my cousin died. It's like my cousin's friend's uncle-in-law went in and never came out. They all were people who lived in the areas that were under the control of the, I don't remember the title, but it's basically the second level under the king in terms of political power in Hungary at the time.
Vizier?
No, it's a word that begins with P, and again, I don't know Hungarian nobility titles. But
well, okay, all right. Hold on, Derek. I got so, a noble defense to be sure, and I agree that the 650 number is probably wildly exaggerated. No, I don't think she killed 600, but they found dead and dying girls in her castle.
Because it was the plague, man.
Oh man, come on, Derek.
The plague was ravaging Hungary at the time. In fact, the first person that they dug up to use as an example of, oh, she murdered this person, was the months-old corpse of a servant who died from the plague, who even other servants said died of the plague. People were dropping left and right from that shit.
I mean, her cruelty was noted by her own family. I'm
not saying she wasn't potentially awful. Most rich and politically powerful royalty of the time were, but
I mean, I don't know, man. Like they found a bunch of bodies when they entered her home. I'm talking like her home, Derek. Like they found dead girls when they entered her home.
According to the investigation carried out by the Holy Roman Empire that needed her land, yes. I'm just saying. This is the one conspiracy. Y'all know I'm anti-conspiracy, but this is the one conspiracy I will go down with.
300 witnesses that testified against her.
All of them who testified after the Holy Roman Empire accused her of such crimes and paraded her out with the corpse of a plague victim and said that it was a torture victim.
I know,
and who once again
how the fuck
lived.
Did this come up last week?
A joke was made,
and now we're here talking about Elizabeth Bathory on our video game podcast.
Yes, you all got a history lesson. Your history lesson is that oftentimes when women are the villains of history, that especially when their existence runs counter to massive imperial interests, that. Maybe.
I listen to podcasts about this. I've never heard of this lady, but I do listen to podcasts about this and about witches and stuff. And it's called Criminalia. So that podcast is about like crimes that happen in history and everything that might not have been talked about. Going off of what I've learned from that, this theory could possibly be true. But I would say maybe she killed people, and then also there's a plague happening, because it's a lot easier to blame one person for a lot of things happening. Like everyone wants to blame someone, right?
Yeah.
So it's always a lot easier to be like, oh, this person is a witch, we should burn her.
I will never say a rich and politically powerful person is innocent, because that's rarely true. But
yeah, I would say potentially.
Yeah. I will just note that we should not take the word of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, I literally, like, I've just been trying to read the entire Wikipedia while you're talking.
I mean,
didn't work as well as I intended.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
Who's the villain in Castlevania Bloodline, so it's got to be true.
Right, for sure. I mean,
video games are... whip.
Yeah,
right. Like video games are pretty accurate. Like it's a good way to learn history. That's what I've always told people.
That's what I've been playing this week. That's what I've been playing this week, is getting things ready for the Derby, and also doubling up on my research about the Blood Countess, because that has been one of my pet random causes of like. This is like the Salem Witch Trial. It's like the Salem Witch. I can pull up old tweets, man. This is
Derek's like, look, man, I'm a defender of Elizabeth.
I'm not a poser. This isn't new.
Going way back, man. Like I've been defending her for years, bro.
Right. Like, I would, in fact, say she has girl boss energy. No, CJ tried to make me say. Anyway,
Derek, why?
I'm intentionally being inflammatory at this point.
Holy shit.
There are other people who say that it was a conspiracy against her.
There are so
Derek found his people.
Yeah, like
there you go.
Look, if I'm going to be in with conspiracy people, to be fair, if I'm going to believe in like one conspiracy, at least it's this and not like the moon is hollow, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is based in a historic mistrust of accusations against women by political power, as opposed to like science denialism or something.
Yeah. No, this is a much better conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I just want to point out.
No, I don't want to talk about
have,
Moonfall, Atma.
No, I have.
I need to see Moonfall.
Don't.
I just want to point out to everybody listening right now that I have approached Derek Justin and our friend Tom Johnson about an SDGC offshoot podcast called Cryptid Currency, and nobody has responded to me.
No, I don't think I can do.
Where we just talk about cryptids.
I can't get high enough to keep up with Tom. I can't.
Like, dude, come on, man. Come on, dude. We got to do that cryptid podcast. We got to talk about Chick Hydrobot. He's absolutely a cryptid.
Well, for sure, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. Speaking of what is here and there,
that's a
let's
bad transition, and
man,
you should feel bad.
Dude. Okay, I'm 2 drinks in. All right. Fuck you. So let's talk about. That was too harsh. I'm sorry.
No,
Derek.
it's okay.
You kind of.
I deserved it.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the first of our 2 main topics tonight. So this week we found out that Square Enix sold essentially their entire Western dev stable for $300 million.
Because it was Eidos, it was
Eidos,
Crystal Dynamics, and it was Square Enix Montreal, which I think was renamed from another team, and I don't remember what the original was.
I can't remember.
They were a mobile team. They were the ones that did like Hitman Go,
Gotcha.
Tomb Raider Go, stuff
Tomb Raider
like that.
Go, right. And they sold all 3 of these studios for $300. Of course,
I think it was a little more than $300, John.
300 million.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry. I meant to say 300 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'd have bought that.
I would have jumped on that one.
I would have bought that shit. Of course, with them go the Hitman, Tomb Raider, and Deus Ex franchises.
And
among
like 50 others.
Yeah,
or something.
Those are the big ones. Those are the really big ones. But there's a bunch they lost. And Matsuda.
You're telling me Square Enix doesn't own Gex anymore?
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe.
Legacy of Kain.
Legacy of Kain. Not that they were fucking doing anything with that. But so I like there are net in my opinion anyway. There are net positives here, and there are also just some weird fucking decisions being made here. $300 million for these 3 studios does not seem like a lot of money.
I'm gonna be optimistic here. Okay, I want to start on a note of optimism that is, I think, mostly missing from this conversation. I think this is good for both sides.
I agree with Derek.
It's not the best move, but
Kitty.
it's a good move because Square has been kind of historically not managing these studios well and not getting much in the way of results out of them. They've been... I don't want to point fingers and be super salacious here, but these studios were not working under Square.
Yeah, I think my take on it is it goes both ways. These studios were not gelling well with what Square Enix wanted, and it doesn't seem like Square Enix was gelling with what they wanted.
Yeah.
I also think that Square Enix was vastly overestimating just how many some of these games or how much some of these games were going to sell, right?
I mean, yes and no, because their expectations are super high, but the actual was it Josh no Mike Futter I think might have posted the graphs, but the showing
it was Mike.
The actual profit year over year that these studios are bringing in.
I mean, it's not great. I mean,
between the 3 of them, it was like a 6-digit figure, which is not good for 3 studios worth of profit, right? To be in the low 6 digits. They were not bringing in money. 300 million is like, hey, we get to offload these studios that we're having to put a lot of time and energy into trying to manage and not getting results out of, and we get free money.
The 300 million is also a bit misleading because they also took on some debt. So it's kind of more actually like 600. It was like 300 million cash, but they also took on some debts from these companies. So that
600. What's the next word? Because I do need it to be higher than $600.
Oh, 600 million. Yeah. It's basically about double what it is in cash.
Oh, okay.
When you factor in the debts that they took on, which makes this make a whole lot more sense.
It's still a weirdly small number, I feel like, but
so it is important to note, I think, and Danny, how well versed are you on what's going on with Square Enix and their sale of these 3 studios right now?
I've been paying attention to it, but it's mostly been reading stuff on Twitter. So haven't really like delved into it that much.
Well, so I feel like there's two things to address here, right? And one is, as a Sony employee, I am sure that you have seen this on Twitter multiple times, guys. Sony is not buying Square Enix. Come on, this is not a preparatory move.
I think let me cut you off here, because I also get the feeling that Danny probably cannot, regardless of that being true or false, probably cannot.
No. I was just saying.
I'm sure
She's seen this
anyway. But but I would have no knowledge of that regardless.
Yeah.
But guys, it's not happening.
I think people are scared about big acquisitions right now because of Bethesda and then Activision, which is a pretty powerful 1-2 punch. But I mean,
it is.
But Square Enix still has like a $5 billion market cap, and it's a Japanese company that can't just be bought out. So
nobody is buying Square Enix right now.
Yeah. We lost John.
And also we have to talk. What's that? Am I here?
We lost you briefly. It's fine.
Okay,
you're back.
So we do have to talk about the elephant in the room just a little bit, and that is the fact that Square Enix themselves have said that in a note to investors, by the way, this is what that is. Square claims it will pursue blockchain, AI, and the cloud using the money made from the sale of these games. Now, come on. That's not all this is going to be used for. They're not going to just toss $300 million into blockchain and NFT shit and it's
investor speak, right?
It's not going to happen that way, right?
And honestly, cloud and AI investment is kind of a huge thing right now, and it makes a lot of sense for any technology company to be investing in them, especially in gaming. Those have a lot of known applications for gaming. Everybody's focusing on the blockchain thing because of the CEO's open letter from earlier this year.
Bring that up, which
is hilarious and tone deaf. But
people don't play games for fun; they play games to create and invest. It's like what? Nah, man.
No. But that's exactly what I try to avoid in games.
Yeah. Fun or investing.
It's just
investing.
Which one?
I'm awful at Monopoly for the same reasons.
Danny's over here man, I don't know about you guys, but I play Elden Ring to create. I play Elden Ring to invest
to generate value.
I play Elden Ring to just go that way. Just
that's the best description of Elden Ring I've ever heard.
It's that urge to park your car at the side of the highway and just jump over the fence and run off into the woods.
Danny, I want you to know, Danny, I am stealing that. I'm going to tell somebody that I play Elden Ring to go that way. That's fucking outstanding. Justin, go ahead, buddy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
All right.
I forgot what I was saying now.
Blockchain.
Investing in R&D.
Granted, I feel like Square Enix is going to try, but I think they're going to very quickly learn that that's probably not going to be a successful avenue to invest in. I think if you've looked at anything the past few months, a lot of companies tried to jump on that bandwagon and jumped off very quickly for various reasons. I don't think I 100% believe Square Enix is gonna try.
Oh, they'll try for sure.
I just do not think it's gonna be any, especially when we know what kind of expectations Square Enix has for its projects and for return on investment. I highly doubt that is going to be a venture that Square Enix sticks with for a long time.
I've actually got a question for Danny. It's a two-part question, and then I'll toss that out to the group here. But since Danny's our guest, I wanna go to her first. So if you could see Square throw that $300 million into something other than the blockchain, because they're not going to use it all for the blockchain, what would you like to see Square Enix bring back or promote? And two, what do you want now that those three studios are unfettered from Square? What would you like? Because you're talking about Legacy of Kain, you got Tomb Raider, there's all these IP, Deus Ex. What would you like to see these studios able to focus on now going forward?
Aside from a remake of Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy VIII remake would be my top thing. When they did the remaster that was kind of awful a few years ago,
the remaster wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No, but the announcement, just hearing the music, I was streaming while I was watching it and just started crying in stream, just like burst into tears.
That I can respect. I can respect that.
Yeah. So that, and probably just more remasters, and honestly, like speeding up the process of, like Final Fantasy VII. I feel like everyone wants those nostalgic like Square Soft games, and they keep trying to redo stuff, like with Chrono Cross. They re-released that, but everyone's pissed off about the frame rate. So why not just like do it right, especially if you're that focused on making sure that you have a good ROI. Like make sure that it's going to turn out well. Make sure you're not wasting your time on those.
And make sure it's right the first time, so you don't have to do continued patching and updating after the fact.
Yeah, it's really like
you better pick a good font right out the gate, or else John is going to be.
You gotta get that font right, man. You gotta get that font right. No, I actually agree with Danny, and like full disclosure, like we are Square Enix influencers. We do have a relationship with Square Enix. I know, but it's what we are, Derek. We do have a relationship with Square Enix, but the things that we love don't improve unless we criticize them. If we don't criticize, the things we love will never get better.
Fairly and meaningfully, rather than through the hottest take you can drop into 240 characters.
Which we try to not do.
With Final Fantasy 15 though and stuff, like people, it got so much flack at the beginning, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, you have to play the Royal Edition. Like that's the one worth playing." And you don't want that to be the case.
Danny, as much as I love Final Fantasy 15, it is, after all, the second best Final Fantasy.
I agree.
Yes. Thank you. Fucking finally.
Okay.
But I agree. Like it took the Royal Edition took Insomnia from one of the weakest final dungeons in the franchise to one of the best. But it should have been that way from Jump Street, right? Like that is the version of that game we should have had to begin with. And I feel you on Chrono Cross, right? Like I played the Chrono Cross remaster. We got our review copies, and the first thing I noticed was, like, oh no, the frame rate.
It runs worse than the PS1 version.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. I mean, it's Chrono Cross, so it's still great. But I would love to see this money push towards a little more. I don't know. I guess you could use the term TLC for some of its classic releases, and which are all over the place to begin with, right? Like you mentioned Final Fantasy VIII. It was not a great remaster, but Saga Frontier was a fantastic remaster. Like Square Enix knows how to do a remastered. I mean, they've got the talent. It's just it's so all over the place sometimes. And I would love to see some of that money thrown towards treating these games the way they deserve to be treated. Are there any classic IPs from those studios that got sold that you would love to see make a return now that they're kind of out there and doing their thing?
Not for me, no. like the biggest thing that I really want is just like Final Fantasy.
I can relate. Trust me, Danny. Anybody who knows me knows that I can relate. Just give me more Final Fantasy. Give me the pixel remasters on Switch, please. Derek, I am sure there are games from those three studios that got sold that you would love to see a return to. And I'm guessing one of those games is Deus Ex for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel good about these studios being with. I know Embracer Group bad. All Giant Company bad. I mean, that's
the fucking
just
Galactus of.
That's just
of
like
video
I
game
don't
game.
even. I think it's overstated a little bit, but like
they've got like 120 studios now.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot.
Yeah, but like THQ Nordic has been pretty good for like the one big guy at THQ. It's a complicated. It's not that. I'm not getting into this.
Well, that's also like
Mark.
A subsidiary of Embracer,
right? Because you've got like THQ Nordic Daddy and THQ Nordic Child and whatever. The point is, I think that these studios are tending to have a little bit more leeway under THQ Nordic and the ability to go back to dead franchises and try to revive them or to work on things kind of the way that they want to work on them. THQ Nordic is a little bit more willing to take medium risks, right, than Square has been with that Western arm. So I think it's better for the studios. And with Square, they can just focus on what they're doing right, which to me, almost everything out of the Eastern side has been doing great. Even games that don't necessarily appeal to me.
And they're not stressing out about like overblown expectations too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, like Final Fantasy's doing great. Dragon Quest has been doing great. Kingdom Hearts has been doing great. I'd like to see more than those 3 franchises, but that's admittedly kind of hard to do if you're struggling with your attention split so many ways. Maybe it is time to reinvest fully in being a Japanese, a set of Japanese development studios, working on new and old games alike. I'd love to see them take this money and reinvest it in like a new studio whose job is just to work on trying to get some of these old cult classics ported and remastered and just available. There's too many old Squaresoft and Enix games that you can't play at all unless you want to pirate and emulate them, which, I mean, for right now, if that's the only way to play them, whatever. There's a lot. There's a lot bigger problems in the world than that. But like, it'd be great if people could pay money and support studios and get them on modern systems. But
I would love to see a return to the Legacy of Kain games personally.
A lot more likely to see that under THQ Nordic than under Square.
I mean, that's true. And like, if you've never played the Legacy of Kain games, like from a gameplay standpoint, they're all over the place in terms of quality, but from a story and like a voice acting standpoint, you don't get better. I'll never forget playing Legacy Kain Blood Omen on PS1 for the first time and listening to Simon Templeman voice the lead character Kain, and I was just like, that was some of the best voice work I had ever heard to that point. I was like, wow, these guys are fucking serious. Like they are telling a story, and these people, they're all of them. Tony J, Simon Templeman, like these guys were just giving it their fucking all. And it's that world has such. Atma Phoenix in chat. Alas, poor Praptor. I knew him well. Well, not really. It's those games are so fucking good, and I would love even just like a remaster of Blood Omen with those load times reduced, or Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which is just one of the best PS1 games available.
I never played any of them.
Oh, Derek, you're missing out, man.
I was a Nintendo 64 kid.
I think I played Blood Omen 2.
You guys are missing out.
That's one of the top-down ones starring Kain, right?
I got a PlayStation, and then all I did was play Final Fantasy games, and also Vigilante 8 and Digital World.
Blood Omen 2 stars Kain, but it's like it's a 3D game.
Okay, I played Blood Omen 1, I think.
Yeah, Blood Omen 1 was great. It was like really violent vampiric Zelda. Blood Omen was
Vampires are in right now.
I mean, Blood Omen is still one of the best PS1 games. The load times suck.
Stop being in. Anyway.
But man, dude, those games were fucking great. I would love to see a return to Legacy Kain, but the one I want the most is Deus Ex to come back. I absolutely asked for this, and I just Adam Jensen is one of my favorite video game characters. That world is just like it's such a. I know a lot of it's piss yellow, but you know what, man? That was a world that both those games, Deus Ex, Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, both felt so lived in and real. And I want to see the story reach a proper conclusion. So I hope this means we're gonna get more Deus Ex in the future.
Just kind of jumping off of that, because this is something I wanted to see. But one thing that studios that have been acquired by Embracer the past few years have been doing is a lot of remasters of their games. And the fact that we haven't gotten like I thought for sure we were going to get like a Human Revolution remaster.
I can't believe we haven't. I can't believe we have not.
I would love for like a Deus Ex double pack remaster.
Put that shit on Switch. Let me take fucking Adam Jensen wherever I go.
And that is something I think is very feasible. It also wouldn't have to be completely done by these studios. You know, there's plenty of studios that could do remasters and stuff. That is something I'm actually really hoping for. You know, or maybe if they want to revisit other parts of their history or something, get updated versions of some of those games out. I think there's a very high chance of that. That's something I'm looking forward to. Something I would like Square Enix to invest in. Yes. That we haven't talked about yet.
Tell me.
Is maybe reworking how they handle their publishing wing. The past few years in the spring, they have basically like 4 years running, they have released titles of fairly dubious quality under their
Wonderworld.
Under their publishing wing. There's Quiet Man. There was
do not disparage Quiet Man on this
Left
podcast.
Alive.
Continually disparage the Quiet Man.
No, Quiet Man is responsible for one of our greatest streams ever, Justin.
We do not talk about the mom wife. That's such a weird fucking game.
But
Danny's like, what the fuck is a mom wife?
I'm trying to be relatively
it's what it sounds like.
This,
I hate to say.
I'm trying to be relatively diplomatic about this, but I think that the publishing side of Square Enix needs a bit of a rework in how they choose their projects and how they oversee quality, QA, and stuff on those projects.
No, I'm just thinking about our Quiet Man stream.
I think that's something that I think Square Enix could be a really good publisher. I mean, they have had a couple success stories with some of their partnerships.
They've been doing pretty well with
Life is Strange.
Exactly.
Outriders ended up being quite a bit bigger than people expected it to be. I think they absolutely could do better there. But like kind of like how I mentioned earlier, it was clear that Square Enix and these studios weren't quite they weren't quite jiving in how they were working together. It seems like there's also something like in the publisher developer relationship that's not going quite right in some of these things that they're putting out. And I think it's losing them a lot of money, but a lot of those games have been from good developers and are really kind of an anomaly with how they turned out.
It wasn't from a good developer? Fucking Quiet Man.
It was.
I'll never forget the whole game. There's no sound because your main character is deaf, and we're just watching. We're watching these two characters interact for 6 minutes with no sound, and Derek just screams, "Oh my god, do something!" And Derek, do you remember the guy who ran around like he's carrying groceries in the rain?
Yeah. That's a game bug fixing would not have saved. That was a conceptually bad idea.
Yeah, okay.
But I digress.
But yeah, like stuff like that. I mean, maybe they could invest in some stuff that's going to be maybe riskier projects, but give it the oversight and budget it needs to be a success.
Yeah. Parasite Eve. Bring back Parasite Eve, goddamn.
I think that's I just think that's an area that's I was just trying to suggest something that was different than just bring back an old franchise.
Yeah.
No,
Justin, this is perfect. I'll recommend something to Square right now. Square, do a Resident Evil 2 style remake of Parasite Eve. Put that fucking combat system in there, and let's get it done. It's been fucking long. Like, they used to say she must not be forgotten about lightning. I'm saying the same fucking thing about Aya. Like, bring Parasite Eve back. It's one of the best games you guys have ever made. Just a few. Oh god, I fucking love Parasite Eve so much. And I would imagine climbing up the Chrysler Tower, all 100 floors, in an RE2 style remake. Like, god damn, please, Square. Like,
as long as I don't have to do an FF7 remake and actually climb all of those stairs, because I did that. I did that as the joke. I was like, no, we're gonna do the stair cutscene because it's funnier. So I did that, and then the game was like, oh, you think you're cute, huh? Climb 100 fucking floors of stairs.
Yeah,
and I was like, for the next 30 minutes of my life, just climbing stairs slowly.
I did it too, Derek.
And I was just like, oh,
I'll never do it again.
I
No.
thought it
I'll
was
never do that one
trolling me.
again.
Like by the time I got halfway,
I do it every
was
time.
Like, I don't even know.
I do it every time.
I was like, will you at least let me skip when I hit 50?
No.
Nope. Nope. You're going all the motherfucking way up. Or Vagrant, like a remake of Vagrant Story, like
Vagrant
holy
Story.
fucking shit. Yeah, somebody in chat pointed out Vagrant Story, or even just like remasters of games lost to time that nobody talked, like Einhander or Brave Fencer Masashi, or fucking Bushido Blade.
Musashi?
Like,
Was that
That
was
was on
Square
my
Enix?
like first PlayStation Underground disc.
Yeah.
yeah. Brave Fencer
It had, like,
Masashi
Metal
was
Gear and
fucking.
stuff.
Yeah, Brave Fencer Masashi was fucking outstanding. Or like Threads of Fate. Like nobody played Threads of Fate, and it's a shame because that game is ridiculous and awesome. But yeah, I would love to see Square.
think-
Go ahead,
I
Derek.
think the important thing is a lot of people, a lot of consumers who are very, very plugged into gaming Twitter will read about Square selling these studios and investing 300, into things like, blockchain and AI and cloud gaming. And I think the equivalent of what pops into some people's heads is, oh, Square sold these studios so they can buy a monkey JPEG. And it's like, that's not what's happening. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if the NFT stuff doesn't come to fruition at all. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried something and then it flopped and they pulled the plug, because that's what every NFT gaming project is doing.
That's what I think is going to happen.
But-
that I think is the most
The
likely.
other thing
doing
is-
so well though.
so many of these studios and publishers that are talking about NFTs, they're just doing it to please investors. Right?
I
Investors are going, this is a thing that makes money. Why are you not talking about it? I don't know what it is, but
That's
it
true,
makes
but
money.
I do think
Beeple
the
made
CEO
money. What's a Beeple? And then the
I do think the CEO is a true believer in this.
Probably,
stuff. So I
but-
think it's probably going to be more than like, because EA initially was talking up blockchain big, and then like a couple months later, we're just like, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
I think Square Enix is more dedicated to trying something.
They're
with
not
going to
blow $300 million into.
No, no, they're not.
Well, and one other last thing is, and I think this was it Cam Hawkins maybe who brought it up? One of our buds wrote about this sale in a slightly more forgiving and optimistic tone, and pointed out that, for example, when IO separated out from Square Enix, Square basically gave them Hitman back. Just because it was worth nothing to them. Right? And it's also just very possible that there's a certain culture within Square, as counterproductive to ultimate business, as it might seem, to go, we don't need this. This is not doing anything for us. So it's effectively worthless to us. Right? And that's why for these studios, 300 million is a pittance for these studios and all the IPs that belong to them. But to Square, it's free money, because they were just treading water.
I think even more than that. I think Square Enix was never really super interested in these projects.
Yeah.
These are studios that I think they acquired for one reason or another that came with a lot of these IPs.
And then lost $200 million on 2 Marvel games.
On Marvel licenses, because if you get the Marvel license, it better be a huge... Same with Star Wars. It has to be a huge hit to make it worth the money to continue that licenses, because you're not getting all the money from that.
Right.
So I think it's just more of a case of, they're not very interested in it, but there are people at these studios that are. So letting them go made the most sense. Just the thing that surprises me more is still that price tag, just because right now, especially in like all this acquisition race and stuff that's going on, IP is being highly valued because you can adapt it into something else. You can do spin-offs, you can do remasters, you can do a lot. And honestly, I think some of that's harder to get than even some of the studios. So see, like that price would have made more sense to me if like the IPs weren't included. The fact that the IPs are included is the thing that I think is kind of shocking to me.
I feel like Microsoft and Sony both would have leapt at the possibility of owning that set of studios and that set of IP for 10 times the price, easy. If it weren't for the
Sony
fact,
just bought Bungie alone. For over $3 billion.
But that's the thing is Sony just spent over $3 billion on Bungie, and Microsoft just spent how much on Activision? Like, not only
$7 billion
is that a huge cash depletion for these companies, but it's also the more you buy up and acquire, the more likely you are to get like that antitrust eye turned upon you. The less like, so both Microsoft and Sony know they need to stay out of the heat after recent acquisitions. They just can't. They've been on sprees, and every purchase that either of them makes at this point becomes riskier and riskier. So, which is another reason why I don't think it's realistic that you're going to see them buy like, Ubisoft or Square or whatever is. I think they're tapped. But Embracer Group made out like bandits, and Square still technically profited from it. So
didn't Ubisoft just take steps to make sure that they couldn't be bought out as well?
No.
I feel like I read that.
Okay, it's kind of confusing.
You're telling me.
Initially, because a few years ago there was like a hostile takeover attempt by Vivendi, and they did a lot of stuff to ward that off.
Yeah.
However, it seems like now they're trying to get like independent investment from like
somebody
major
said that the
investment
Guillemot
firms,
family
so
was
the
gonna try to
Guillemots
buy
can
it.
stay in control of it instead of selling to somebody else. Also, the thing about Ubisoft too is it's over 20,000 developers, and like integrating that into another company is
A nightmare.
crazy. That's
Pretty
double the
massive
total.
undertaking.
That's double the
It's like
total
when John
number
suggested
of
somebody would
Activision
buy
Blizzard.
Bandai Namco.
Yeah.
Hey, look, okay, shut
The
the fuck
least
up.
likely of any of these companies to ever be bought by someone else.
So I want to, I want to jump into our last topic because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to cover this.
We've run out
and
of Square
we've
Enix
run out
ground
of-
to cover
yeah.
anyway. So
I want to talk about comfort games, which are especially important now in these, let's say, extremely trying times.
These times that are trying.
Video games are, for all of us, everybody's got that thing that kind of like takes them to another place, right? Like helps them forget everything that's happening. For some people it's movies, for some people it's books, for some people it's games. One thing that emerging technology has shown us is that games can become more and more immersive. Like Elden Ring is a great example, right? Like Elden Ring presents you with this huge world that you can just find yourself lost in for hours at a time. Danny's a great example of that. And if games, to me, have a greater level of escapism than movies, because you're an active participant as opposed to a passive observer. And sometimes people are, I'm surprised at the games that give me comfort and kind of give me an escape. So Danny, what is a comfort game to you?
Well, honestly, it depends on my mood. So recently has been Elden Ring. Kind of classically, it's been just Final Fantasy VIII and just replaying that, once a year. Just because
that was 6, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes sort of like a setting and a story that it's like rewatching a show that you've seen over and over. It's just like you know what's going to happen generally, and you know how things are going to turn out, and so that makes it feel really safe. But kind of on the opposite side, something like Elden Ring or the Soulsborne games in general, I think the similarities between them make them more of a comfort, because even something as simple as the I like this chat. Something as simple as having the same control scheme makes it more of a comfort. So like Sekiro was not comforting to me because it felt so vastly different from the other Soulsborne games.
Yes, that you're absolutely right.
But then something like playing Dark Souls after Bloodborne and like Dark Souls 3 and then now Elden Ring, having all the same controls, it's like seeing a Chocobo again. You're like, I know this place.
Yeah,
and so,
this is familiar.
Yeah, so suddenly it's much more comfortable, and it it gives you something else to stress out about, honestly, which is it's good, and it also gives you that feeling of accomplishment once you actually do get through a part that's difficult. Which if you're trying to get through something difficult in real life and you can't, but you can get through something in Soulsborne, then at least you feel that. So.
Right. And, like, it's interesting that you say that because somebody just said something on Twitter, which I know they meant as a compliment, but I'm like, what the fuck? I'll tell you guys later. But for me, like, the original Dark Souls is one of my all-time favorite comfort games. And it's because of it's the same reason the Metroid games are, because of its sense of loneliness and isolation. I am a very withdrawn person by nature. I like to be alone. And that sense of just, being in a dark place by myself is almost like a blanket to me. I know that sounds weird. Like it sounds like the antithesis of a comfort game. But there's a moment in Dark Souls where you reach the Tomb of the Giants, and it's pitch ass black, and you're walking through the Tomb of the Giants, and eventually, if you keep going, you will see this distant red glow of lava illuminating some old ruins in the wall in the distance. You find out later that these are the demon ruins, and I found myself just staying there for like a half hour, just listening to the distant rumble of the lava and just letting that darkness wash over me. And it was extremely calming and meditative for me. And it's weird that like again, it doesn't exactly sound like a comfort game, because the whole point of a Souls game, especially like the original Dark Souls, is to stress you the fuck out. But I, oddly enough, take comfort in that oppressive environment. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. That a lot of it, too, like there's that same sort of feeling of loneliness in Dark Souls 3. As you get toward the end, especially, and that even Demon Souls, there's something similar as well. And that, Demon Souls is going to be a lot more linear and everything, but you still get that feeling when you get to certain areas. And now, like with Elden Ring, there are certain parts in like Round Table Hold where I'm like, oh, I recognize this feeling.
Or the Lake of Rot.
Oh, no, that makes me feel nothing good. But yeah, you can definitely, like, I think that sometimes just that feeling can be really comforting. So something like with something like Final Fantasy, the story is familiar, and going through the entire thing, like I can play it, play a game for 40 hours and that'll be familiar. But with something like Elden Ring, you can play it for 2 minutes and suddenly feel like you're at home. So it's definitely, that makes sense.
Derek, what about you, buddy?
I've got a few. Historically, two of my big ones were, one was Age of Empires 2, which I've been playing, since when did 2 come out? That was late 90s or right in early 2000s. It's hard to keep track of.
I was playing it at the same time as Final Fantasy X, so that was like 2001, 2000-ish was when I was playing
something like that. And I think Age of Empires 1 was maybe late 90s, and that's what I'm remembering starting with before moving on to 2. But I've been playing Age of Empires 2 just on and off when I need a comfort game. And I'm not good at Age of Empires. I'm not good at any RTS game. It's so counter to what I'm actually good at with video games. But I Age of Empires 2 got me interested in history. Like, first because I was just
That's cool.
a little still a boy, you know, who was super into swords and warfare and like knights and all that stuff. But like, then it gets you drawn into learning the history of it and learning about like, you know, Frederick Barbarossa, learning about Joan of Arc, learning about Saladin, you know, learning. And then as these expansions keep coming out, and then we get the definitive edition in modern day, and then they keep adding expansions and they keep adding history. And like, I loved that Age of Empires 4 went back to that and went so far as to include like mini documentary clips about, you know, how were castles made, or what made the crossbow different, you know, or like, let's talk about, you know, politics in Normandy, you know, and the struggle for success. And like, I loved that stuff. I learned so much through it. And it was just comforting to play. I also have gone back to Roller Coaster Tycoon over and over and over again. And I actually found Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic recently, which is basically just 1 and 2 wrapped together in one game, but much more playable on modern systems. And it was like,
Right.
oh, I can put you on and just, you know, I've had a hard day. Let me start building a park. You know, I'm awful at building roller coasters, but it doesn't matter. I have fun. I'm actually pretty good at Roller Coaster Tycoon, unlike Age of Empires. Sadly, one of maybe my top comfort game of recent years was Overwatch. And that's really been something I haven't been able to go back to for a little while because of stuff with Activision. And I'm very hopeful that things will. A lot of people have already been given the boot, and I'm really hopeful that Kotick is not going to last post Microsoft acquisition.
I would agree with that.
I mean, the fact that California and now the state of New York are like, there's so many lawsuits. Like, it makes me feel hope that maybe when Overwatch 2 is a thing, that like maybe I can go to that with less guilt on my conscience. But Overwatch was something I haven't. I can't, because I love Overwatch. It's really good. I'm so good, like randomly pretty good at it, and I love the characters, and I love the aesthetic, and I love the moment-to-moment gameplay, and I love how easy it is for me to get in and play like non-competitively, because I don't do competitive shit. I'm so far past. I'm 30. I don't have time to do that stuff anymore. But like, I can just get on, play a few rounds, have a blast, you know. And I haven't been able to do that since a lot of the Activision news has been coming out. So, you know, I'm really hopeful that I can get wrapped up, because despite the memes, the mimetic dismissal of Overwatch 2, I think it's going to be incredible, and I'm looking forward to it. And I just hope that I will actually be able to play it without feeling awful for doing so. So,
Justin, what about you, buddy? Comfort game. What is a comfort game to you?
So, I've got a couple. A big one is the Uncharted series. Yeah. Any of them.
Oh, those are so good. I'll always love those.
I've always been a fan of, like, you know, pulp adventure stuff since I was a kid. And they're just such a great, like, you know, example of that. Like, and I love that cast. I love the settings. I love the way those games play. I can play them forever, over and over again, and I have many, many times. Since the first one, like, that was a game I picked up on a whim. You know, I had gotten a PS3 just for Metal Gear Solid 4. And then I realized, I'm like, I don't know what else this thing has, and I don't really like. So I remember just being at the store and just picking up the first Uncharted, and I'm like, I'll give this a shot. And like, I saw, you know, I'm like, okay, Naughty Dog made Jak and Daxter, those were all right. Like, let's see. And I loved it. And I mean, that game has obviously aged not as well as the rest of the series,
for sure. Yeah.
But I remember I was being so into it. I was so into it, and when I got back, because this was the summer after my freshman year in college, I remember when I got back that fall, my roommate, who, you know, always had like a big Indiana Jones poster over his bed, I'm like, you got to play this game.
Oh yeah, those are my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, and he fell in love with it too. So, those games have a very, very soft spot in my heart. But like, also, I just really love a good old fashioned like FPS campaign. There's something about like, you know, proper single player FPS campaign that's just so much fun. And like recently I've really been thinking about it and lamenting that like every new shooter project is some kind of multiplayer thing from developers big and small. And it really sucks because like a huge portion of why I love that genre is just seeming like it's falling by the wayside. And it's a real bummer, especially since we've had times when there was like, you know, several amazing ones coming out like every few months and stuff. It's a bummer, but like, yeah, lately, like Doom Eternal is something I've just thrown on just for, you know, that kind of quick action, stuff. And obviously I played like Destiny, which is a little bit different, but you know, still Bungie FPS. But yeah, those are kind of like the big ones for me.
I like obviously like look, yes. I'm going to say Final Fantasy VI is my ultimate.
John, how many times have you played it just this year?
Twice.
I thought it was like 3 or 4.
No, it's been twice. So I've played the Super Nintendo version right before the Pixel Remaster version came out, so I could contrast and compare.
Okay.
But
what do you think?
also, what's that?
What do you think about the differences? Because I started it and then I got stuck, and now I want to restart it. So I don't know if I can do it.
I loved it. You know, the music is just absolutely god tier, and in all the Pixel remasters, the music is just fucking incredible. Derek was streaming Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, and when that boss theme kicked in, like he like ascended.
Oh, I got
the
like the
plane.
stanky face. Yeah, it was great. Well, and they're more generous with experience and gold on random battles. I've noticed. So like grinding is Please also, let me eliminate the grind and more JRPGs. Like
Final Fantasy VI is harder. The Pixel Remaster is harder. I actually died on some of the bosses, which literally never fucking happens. I was actually shocked. I was like, why the fuck am I dying against the tunnel armor? Like, what the fuck is happening? But the Pixel Remaster took a game that is a very deep personal meaning to me and just improved in every aspect of it. And you know, Final Fantasy VI to me, I mean, that game is the reason that I'm as passionate about video games as I am. That game literally saved my life in a time where I really needed it. And to this day, you know, I play it not just annually, but sometimes twice a year, and I have ever since release. Just because it's like a book I can pick up and read again. And like Danny said earlier, I know how it's going to end, and that's extremely comforting to me, you know, or it is just unbelievable. Like I'm like stumbling over my words because I can't find the words to describe just how much this game means to me. But you know, right now in the everything sucks. Like, let's face it, everything kind of fucking sucks right now. And I know that it's got a lot of people worried. Me, probably everyone else on this podcast, people we interact with on social media and in our everyday lives. Everything seems like it's just kind of like burning to the ground right now.
Working in news is great right now.
I can't even fucking imagine. And you know, the only words of comfort I have are, you know, if you're listening to this, go find something that makes you feel warm. It doesn't have to be a game. It can be a book or a movie or a poem or like fucking anything. Like find something to hold on to and kind of anchor you in the moment, because self-care right now and yeah, we're talking specifically about games because this is a video game oriented podcast, but self-care right now is more
Occasionally
important.
historical conspiracy theory podcast.
Right. Yeah. If you need to, you know what, if you want to read about Vlad Dracula Tepesh and what he did in Wallachia,
Vlad was not a girl boss.
he was not. And Vlad was a very bad guy. But you know what, if that is what makes you feel comforted, I question your life choices, but hey, go for it. Like everybody needs something to make themselves feel a little safer right now. I don't think self-care has ever been important it's certainly more important than it has been in a decade. Because over the past couple of years we've just been through so much as a people. And I just hope everybody out there, like, this conversation's got me thinking, like, I hope everybody out there listening to this is taking care of themselves and each other. Because you absolutely matter. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all wax all poetic, but it's just,
you big mushy teddy bear.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
That's the sort of thing that everyone needs to hear pretty regularly, I think, especially now. So.
You know what's fucked up though is Derek mentioned Resident Evil 4 earlier. That's another huge comfort game for me. And you wouldn't. It's weird to think that.
I can go back to.
That was one for me.
Seriously, it was fucked up for him to mention.
I can go back to so many Resident Evil games. There's such great like popcorn for me, but
and again, it's a sense of solitude, right? Like this is gonna sound really fucking weird, but something that is like oddly comforting for me is just firing up Resident Evil 2 Remake and sitting in one of the save rooms and just listening to Mr. X stomp around 2 floors up. I don't know why, but I'm like, it's just me. Like,
he can't get to you.
He can't get to me.
I would love for a gamer therapist to unpack that, but unfortunately,
I don't know. You know what? We'll have to get Dr. B on here.
Yeah, we got to get Dr. B to unpack.
And maybe we can do, like, he can sit me on the virtual couch and we'll talk about this. Because I agree, it's really fucked up that is a therapeutic thing for me. I don't understand it myself. But
trauma
we are
for me.
Yeah. what was that, Jenny?
It's just instant trauma for me. Like, oh god, I'm gonna die.
I don't fucking get it. I don't understand why. I don't understand why it does that for me, but it does.
See, because for me, Resident Evil's all about the progression. It's about like the constant checking off of the next objective and progression, and the fact that I know the steps and it's a comfortable dance. But that's kind of
learning with learning and moving around the space.
It's kind of the same thing with me about Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls, I love the atmosphere, but like, why do I love going back to Dark Souls over and over again? Because it is a comfortable set of objectives that I go, okay, well, now I've got to get through the Capra demon and I know how to do this, and then next I'm going to do this, and and feeling that progress. So I don't know.
Kind of similarly to what you were saying with Age of Empires 2. Very similar in the, like, I was playing that when I was in I was in a nice little spot in my life where I had Final Fantasy and video games and school, and that was it. But that and like Civ 5 and 4 and 6 kind of, that's the sort of game where I can just sit down and play it for like 13 hours and then, tell everyone about my knowledge of trebuchets.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was excellent when I went to Scotland. Just like, oh, I know what these are.
Well, it's like, I'm going to get off here tonight and then clean the kitchen while I just Bluetooth the Balam Garden theme to my Google Home for a while.
Yeah. I just had some stuff going on where I needed to calm down. So it's like, okay, Blue Fields, Balam Garden, we're set. Like,
Yep.
For me, it's got to be the entirety of Omen from Final Fantasy VI. The opening to walking through the snowfields. The other really therapeutic music from a game for me actually comes from Secret of Mana. And that is it's a track called Now Flightless Wings. It's at the very end when the sprite, the game's over. It's the credits music basically. It's so fucking chill. And but I don't that's another topic for another day. But it's time for us to wrap up here. Before we close out here, I do want to thank our audience. Our numbers for 2021 were
Oh, let's not
really
do the numbers
no, 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 no,
thing.
no, 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 no. I'm not going to actually say what the numbers were. What I am going to say is, for a small podcast, we're doing pretty good, and I really love our community. I love the community we built. Um, and I just wanted to, I was really happy with how we're doing, and especially given how small we are. And I just wanted to thank everyone listening. We wouldn't be where we are now without us and any of you. You're not just our community, you're our family. And I really, really appreciate you all, and I hope you're all taking care of each other. I know you like I know you are, because I truly believe we have the best, most wholesome community in the entire industry. And I'll put that against literally anyone. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for sticking around with us, for as long as you have. It means the world to all of us, and really, really puts a smile on my face recently. So thank you so much. Danny, if people want to follow you on Twitter, where can they find you?
Matron Edea. So Matronedea. If you played Final Fantasy VIII, you probably understand.
I get the reference. I understand the reference. No, Danny, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope that you'll come back and guest with us again at some point soon.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course, absolutely, and thank you for accepting on such short notice. We do have a Discord. If you're not already a member of our Discord, we're almost at 400.
Is at the movies, so I'll
Rars
post
at the
all
movies, so
links.
you'll do it. We're almost at 400 people on our Discord, guys. I want us to get to 500 by year's end, but we're almost at 400. So, yeah, fucking, I can't believe we've grown this much. But please join our Discord. We've also got some really cool T-shirts and mugs and hoodies and such that you can buy. Every single dollar goes to a number of charities between Black Girls Code and the Trevor Project and Able Gamers. So please go support some good causes and look and feel really good, because our shit is super comfortable. And of course, you could find us on Twitter at official SDGC. And of course, we're here live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Derek, you are working on a review for a game that we can't talk about yet, but when can we expect your review?
I don't even know if saying that gives too much away, and I'm going to, given the strictness of the embargo, I'm gonna soon enough. Yeah.
Soon enough. I know what you're playing, Derek, and I'm very excited for you.
It's not like a huge game or anything, but it's definitely very cool. So
I am very excited to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if nobody has anything else, it was a slow week, but I think we made it work. So thank you to everyone for sticking around. And of course, remember that kindness costs nothing. We will see you next week. Please take care of each other.